Hey everyone, welcome to another video from the Cards of Dogtown, coming to you from deep in the hills of West Virginia. I'm Keith, and today I'm going to show you my 20 favorite cards of the New York Yankees from the 1960s that are currently in my collection. These aren't the top 20 most valuable cards in my collection, but they are ranked in the order that I enjoy them. So let's get started. At number 20 on my list is the 1960 Topps Tony Kubek. Tony was the 1957 American League Rookie of the Year, was a four-time All-Star, and appeared in 6 World Series, winning 3. His career was cut short by a major back injury in 1965, and the next season he began a long Hall of Fame broadcasting career, calling MLB games from 1966 to 1989. The pink color and the fact that something fascinating must be happening to the right out of the frame add to my enjoyment of this card. That man has a prodigious chin. And number 19 is the 1961 Topps Phil Rizzuto MVP card, celebrating his winning of the 1950 award. Long live the Scooter. The number 18 card on my list is this 1967 Elston Howard. This will be his last card in a Yankee uniform as a player before moving on to the Red Sox. The pose shot and the catching position with this amazing smile make this one of my favorite cards. Coming in at number 17 is the 1964 Topps 1963 American League pitching leaders, with both Whitey Ford and Jim Bouton featured. Ford's accolades are well known, and Bouton's controversial book at the time, Ball 4, gave fans a peek inside the Major League clubhouse for the first time. Ford led the AL with 24 wins in 1963, and Bouton was second with 21. He won 18 games in 1964, but never won more than 4 games in a season during his final 7 seasons. At number 16 is the 1964 Topps Giants of Whitey Ford. I love the photography on this oversized issue. Whitey is channeling his best Phil Necro in this picture, looking like a spry man of 65. Those long nights with Mantle and Martin in the 1950s appear to have taken their toll on the chairman. At number 15, we have another Whitey card, this time from the 1967 Topps. Whitey's patented fake follow-through is evident again on this card, which would end up being his last playing days card. At number 14 is this 1967 Topps Stan Bonson and Bobby Mercer Rookie Stars card. Bonson would end up winning the Rookie of the Year award in 1968, going 17-12 with a 2.03 ERA in 37 appearances. He played 16 seasons in the Bigs with 6 different teams. Mercer was a 5-time All-Star and appeared in the 1980 World Series with the Yanks. Touted at one time as the replacement for Mickey Mantle, he didn't quite live up to that billing. Number 13 is the 1964 Topps Giants Elston Howard. This great card shows off the 1963 American League MVP fresh off that great campaign. Howard hit .287 that year with 28 homers and drove in 85, had a 5.2 WAR, and won the Golden Glove. The Yanks went to the World Series again in 1963, only to be swept by Sandy Koufax and the Dodgers. At number 12 is the first appearance of Mickey Mantle on the list. The 1962 Post, number 5. Mantle's 1961 stats were MVP worthy, but he was overshadowed by his outfield partner that year. The Post batting shot is pretty decent and has nice color. At number 11 is yet again another Whitey Ford card, this time the 1963 Topps. This card appears to have been well loved as the green box shows some wear. I really like the background of these cards, as the yellow background and the black text makes it very easy to read. And now the top 10. Number 10 is the 1962 Babe Ruth. Ruth hit 60 from the subset of that year. This classic pose of Ruth watching the ball soar into the distance has been used by Topps several times, but is still one of my favorites. I'm looking forward to picking up the remaining cards in this subset. At number 9 is the 1961 Golden Press Bill Dickey. Dickey played 17 seasons with the Yankees in the late 20s through the mid-1940s, with 2 years of military service sandwiched in between. He played in 8 World Series, winning 7, and was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1954. At number 8 is this 1967 Mel Stottlemyre. Mel was a solid pitcher for the Yanks in the down years of the late 1960s and early 1970s. As a rookie, he started 3 games in the 1964 World Series with a 1-1 record and had 12 strikeouts in 20 innings pitched. He won 20 or more games in 3 seasons and also had a 20-loss season mixed in. He started 356 games in his career and had 152 complete games. After his playing days, he would go on to be a pitching coach with the Mets, the Astros, the Yankees, and the Mariners, and won 5 World Series titles during those times. I'm not a real big fan of the vertical alignment on the back, but I do enjoy the comics on this one. At number 7 is the final appearance of the chairman of the board, the 1960 Topps Whitey Ford. And for once, the pitching pose is not the normal follow-through, but it actually shows him in the windup. The red, white, and blue color scheme on the front really stands out, but the back is atrocious. The brown on black just doesn't work together for me, and even the cartoon on the back is questioning what the hell is going on. Just outside of my top 5 is this 1966 Mickey Mantle. By this time, the Yanks were no longer in their dynasty years, and the Mick's prodigious power was beginning to fade. This copy really has great eye appeal to me, and the color pops. The back isn't terrible with the pink background and the name, but the cartoon is pretty bland here. And now for my top 5. At number 5 is the 1968 Topps Game Mickey Mantle. Produced during his final playing season, this card would be one of the last Topps would crank out until later in the century. I love the eye appeal on the front of this card, but the back is horribly off-center. But as I always say, you can only look at one side at a time. At number 4 is my 1962 Post Roger Maris. This one has the historic stat line for the 1961 season when he broke Ruth's single-season home run record with 61. Maris won the AL MVP in 1960 and 1961, beating out Mantle, but barely, in both of those seasons. Blank back, nothing to see here. At number 3 is the 1965 Topps Roger Maris. Who doesn't love the 1965 Topps design? I'm not a huge fan of the Yankees' base color being in pink, but the overall design makes up for it. The 1964 season will mark the last time Maris would hit over 20 home runs and only reach double digits once in his last 4 seasons. The teal background is pretty non-offensive, so no complaints here. At number 2 is this 1964 Topps Giants Mickey Mantle. Once again, I really like this set, and having this one in a tux only adds to its eye appeal. I picked this one up at the at the 2025 Strongsville show at a decent price. The back has a little synopsis of what some of Mick's feats up to the time and a cool black and white photo. It was tough not to put this one as my number 1 card. And my favorite Yankee card of the 1960s is off the beaten path, per se. It is the 1960 Topps Yankees coaches card featuring Hall of Famer Bill Dickey, Ralph Houck, Frank Cassetti, and Ed Lopat. 3 of these individuals pictured had either been a big league manager or would be soon. Dickey managed the Yankees in the second half of the 1946 season. Houck would be named Casey Stengel's replacement after the 1960 season and would win 3 pennants and 2 World Series titles in his 2 stints as the Yankee manager from 1961 to 1973, interrupted by Yogi in the 1964 season and the ill-fated Johnny Keane experiment in 65 and part of 66. Frank Cassetti spent 17 years as a player for the Yanks, spending time as a teammate with Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, and Joe DiMaggio. Frank also appeared in 7 World Series with the Yanks, winning 6. And lastly, Ed Lopat. Ed was a stalwart on the Yankees pitching staff during their 5 consecutive World Series wins from 49 to 53. He would go on to manage the Kansas City A's in 1963 and 1964. The floating heads concept is not ideal, but this card is well centered and has great color. The back has a few lines on each of the coaches, and it's pretty unimpressive. The full color team logo design on the front was sharp in this 1960s issue. Thanks for hanging out with me while I ran down this list. My favorites from the 1970s is on deck next, so keep an eye out for that one coming soon. If you'd like to see more of my content, please like and subscribe. Until then, let's go Yanks.